Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Comeback podcast. We have decided to create a little series. Okay. So this will be a once a month series with my favorite human, Heather Maio. Welcome back, Heather.
Thank you so much for having me.
I thought it would be fun to create a series with Heather since you guys love our conversations so much, and that we just talk about all things making a comeback, all things that are helpful, all, things that are related to what's going on right now, and give you some good tools or thoughts around making your personal comeback.
I love it. I am so excited. And I love that we can tap into what we're both currently feeling and what we're currently seeing in the collective.
So I know we're still in like the heat of retrograde, right? And you and I both work with people. So I think we see it in a different way than most other people do. Like you might notice if you're in retrograde, and if you're still not sure what retrograde is, it's when Mercury basically spins backwards, which can cause a lot of just different energies, meaning that you might have trouble communicating. You might have trouble with like contracts or things working out. There can also be a lot of really great things about retrograde too. You can do a lot of self-reflection, learn a lot about yourself, but this is a time period and energetically that may feel a little off. And I think, again, we see that very clearly working with people one-on-one during this time period. So I'm curious, like, what are you seeing over on your end?
So I purposefully haven't been looking at the astrological calendar because I don't want to get too much in my head about what I think should be happening, because I was somebody who very much approached, retrograde has done me very dirty at times. So I approached it like it was this big, scary thing, but coming through them and coming in on the other side, I see the beauty of it. And that is what I try to focus on when I'm dealing with somebody who's dealing with the current shakiness, because you're right. To me, it feels like the equivalent of an earthquake, but also an earthquake that's happening in quicksand, because you're like, oh shit, it's shaky, but I'm stuck. What's going on? But I think on the other side, we see this beautiful release. Like it helps us just kind of gain some clarity and maybe remove things that we may not want to remove, but that would serve us if they were removed. And so I kind of feel like it can be, in what I'm seeing right now, it's almost serving like a mirror that maybe we don't want to look into, because it's showing us like, no, this is the work. This is what's happening. It's going to keep happening. Are we going to deal with it, or are we going to what? And I don't want to say deal with it in the sense of like, now is the time to run towards it, because like you said, this is not the time to sign a contract. This is not the time to start something new unless it's been on your mind for a really long time. But I do think this is the time to just kind of sit back and what we both love, self-question, and just observe, like, is this really working out for me? Is this really how I want to continue on? And just create some reflection and maybe let the universe, for lack of a better term, do its job and help us clear these things away.
I love everything you said. And one of the things that stood out to me the most that I see a lot with my clients is like, you talked about removing something, right? Removing some, and this could be, a situation you're in. This could be a relationship you're in. This could be a pattern of thinking or pattern behaving. Like, here's the thing. And the coolest part about our soul, I think, is that when we talk about removing something, I always think that there's this internal knowing of exactly what that means as it pertains to you. I think that's like the coolest thing about the conversations that we have, is that different things will resonate to different people. So when we're talking about what is that thing in your life that if you removed it, you might feel lighter or more free or more confident, what is that thing for you? Because I think this is a perfect time to identify and to look within and to, I want to use the word play. I think you can play and play with your self-reflection. I think that's my favorite part about self-reflection, is that it can be like a curiosity or an exploration or a getting to know yourself rather than this big, scary, overwhelming thing. I like to make things like way more fun and way more easy and way more quick and simple than they sound. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think that's beautiful, because really at the end of the day, even if it is that serious, time is going to pass and it's not going to feel that serious. You have to see this a lot with your daughters. And I see it a lot with Evelyn. And it reminds me of how at certain points of my life, I thought that events were going to define me, that they were going to be this big, huge thing and they felt insurmountable. And now since time has passed, I can look back and see how truly insignificant they are. And I think that that can be a really wonderful reminder, because when we're in it, it might not feel like a small thing. It might feel like a huge thing, but eventually it is going to be getting dumped in 7th grade, like the energetic equivalent to that. And we can have that choice, and playing with it, even creating curiosity. I mean, asking yourself like, well, who would I be without this? What would my life look like if I didn't have to carry this? And just allowing yourself to kind of daydream about those things without even giving yourself the pressure of taking any action, and start to create some shifts.
I really think there's power in, when we're thinking about removing something from our life and it feels overwhelming, I think there's power in how we think about it, because a lot of times we make this mountain for ourselves, this emotional mountain. And so you were saying like, this is equivalent to a 7th grade breakup potentially, but we make this mountain and it feels scary and hard and big. I like to just kind of go the opposite route and play that curiosity what if game of like, okay, so what if I was confident enough to do that? What if I did exit this job? What if, and giving yourself permission to say, what would that really feel like? How exciting would that be? Because the reality is that when we do remove something from our lives that is weighing us down, that's toxic, that's not helpful, we will eventually feel lighter. We will eventually feel more in alignment. We will eventually be more of a magnet to our highest, best good, to the universe, to all of our manifestations. So when we're removing something because it's weighing us down, there will always inevitably be a positive to it. And that's the cool thing that you can remind yourself, is that if there's something you need to remove, it's probably because it's weighing on you. And if it's weighing on you, then the only thing that removing it really, really, really does is lightens you. It puts you into alignment and it makes you a magnet for your desires, which again, I don't want to downplay the hard of that, but I just want to remind you that there's another way to look at it, that we can keep staring at the scary big thing, or we can look at the light at the end of the tunnel and say, I wonder what it would be like to be over there. Like on the other side of this, who would I be? What would I feel like? How would that sit on my body? Like on the other side, like all whole and healed, how would I carry myself? How would I dress? What would I do differently in my day? And I think that's such a more powerful place to be. Like if my whole, thing is how do you feel more powerful even in the hard things? It's your perspective of it.
I'm going to use, I said this in my podcast last week. I got this from Nichole. I love it. I think about it all the time. What are we putting in our Google search bar?
Yeah.
What are we confirming? What are we looking for? I mean, we know that perception creates reality. And while we don't have full control over it, we have some control. And so just shifting our line of vision, even just a little bit, can allow us to see things differently. And we can do that while still acknowledging it's scary and it's uncertain. There may be hard, but the bullshit caller in me also needs to acknowledge, okay, well, what hard are we holding on to? Because it's going to be hard to stay stuck with it too. It's going to be hard to continue to deal with it too. And so at some point we have to make that choice. What hard am I working on? The hard of exploring something new, which is unknown, but that's a good thing because that's where all the potential lives, or the hard of continuing to deal with something that I know is not in alignment with who I am or who I wish to be in the future.
That's the thing, is that, we are comfortable in our bullshit. We are comfortable in the things that we've been dealing with for a long time, even when they suck. And it's wild to me how comfortable our brain can get in scenarios that suck. And it will feel different and it will feel new. And I think it's different to know that it will feel new. It doesn't have to necessarily feel bad. And I think that's another like small perspective shift we can make, is just because something's new doesn't mean it has to be scary. It doesn't mean it has to be bad. It just means it's new. It just means we haven't done it before. And I think that's exciting. I think how exciting is that to be in a space of something that's new? Like think about the last time you did something new and it worked out, or think about the last time you connected with somebody new and it worked out. Like there's so much potential when we stop staring at the one thing we've left behind and start staring at all the possibilities ahead.
Absolutely. And allowing it to be playful will give us the courage to kind of take that next step forward without it being, like you said, without it being that serious. We're the ones who are making it serious at the end of the day.
And it's hard to switch your perspective. Like I'm not going to sit here and say that this is an easy task. Like when your brain is dedicated to something, it's dedicated to something. But if you're willing to pose those questions, to ask those questions, to challenge yourself a little bit, to think differently, it's a game changer. I mean, I don't think that things have to be hard just because we decide they are. I think that what if you could heal and it could be easy? What if you could let go of something? It could be easy. What if you can move forward and it could be easy? Like, what if it could be easy? All of these things that you're doing. Let's not add additional descriptors onto this that are just weighing on it. If it's hard when you get there, sure, it's hard, but let's not decide it's hard before you get there. I actually had this with my daughter this morning. She was like solo thing for band. And she was like, I don't think I know it. And you know, the solo ensemble's tomorrow. And it's going to be the worst. And it was today, this thing is tomorrow. And I was like, Kylie, like, you're not even giving yourself a chance for it to go well. Like, you are deciding right now that it's not going to go well. And you're going to spend an entire day not stepping into the solution, but focusing so deeply on the problem that's all you can see is the problem and how bad the problem feels and how awful the problem feels and how you are nothing compared to the size of the problem. But what can you control about it today? What is something you could do today that would help you feel more confident? Well, I could practice. Okay. So you're going to bring home your French horn today and you'll practice your French horn. And, you know, luckily we don't have any softball tonight because, you know, just it's Wednesdays are a night off. And so, you know, you have all the time in the world to practice tonight. You could practice from the minute you go home until bed. I mean, that's like what, 7 hours. So there's always a solution if we're looking for the solution, and there's always a perspective shift to help you find that solution. But if you're going to just stare at the problem, you're going to see a problem. You're going to feel the problem. You're going to live in the state of the problem, and you are not going to ever be an energetic match for anything that's going to lift you up and out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It comes back to, for me, questioning what I'm confirming. And yeah, I'm running a group right now with women. And so we're dealing with nutrition, and self-sabotage is a theme that comes up a lot because we tell ourselves that every time we fail, and I'm saying that, you know, in quotations very much for a reason, because it's not a failure, it's how we're perceiving that. But we tell ourselves every time we overeat or have something we have deemed as off limits or bad, or, you know the story. Any single woman listening knows that story, especially when it relates to our bodies and trying to change our physical bodies. And so self-sabotaging is something that comes up a lot. In working through that, we tend to look back to our past to confirm our bullshit. And we'll say, well, last time I tried intuitively eating, I ate everything in sight. Or last time I stopped weighing myself, this is what happened. Or last time I gave up, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And we need to remind ourselves, okay, that's valid. That happened. Now, what are you doing with that information? Are you using it to confirm that you cannot change? Or are you using it to empower you because you know where you veered off last time? And so you can take that information and you can do something powerful with it, and you can use it to ensure that you don't do that again. And it's, again, that perspective shift that doesn't always feel good in the moment, but understanding like, oh, okay, yeah, I have, quote unquote, failed in the past, but look at all that experience that's given me. Look at all the knowledge that I can take and learn from that, because now I can move forward looking at those situations differently. And instead of using them to confirm something that is not serving me, I can use them to empower me. And so when I come up against these situations or these sticking points or these whatever, I can say, oh, okay, this is what happened last time. And so I know this isn't going to work. And so what can I do differently this time to make it better? And honestly, and I know you know this, all it takes is one small win to completely shift how we continue to move forward. And you and I are like broken records when it comes to the small stuff, but that's why when we make just even the littlest change, that's how we build our motivation. That's how we create some self-efficacy. That's how we see, oh, okay, I can be a person who has discipline. I can be a person who listens to my body. I can be a person who, and as soon as that switch changes with one choice, it can create dominoes down the path that we have been trying to walk down for years.
It's really a momentum of hope. Like personal hope, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so I know that if I do this one thing, it gives me this boost in energy, this boost in confidence, this boost in self-trust that gets me to where I want to go. And I think that, again, it's easy. We can make this shit easy. Like, that's the thing is, yes, we're in retrograde. Yes, there's challenging things going on. Yes, there may be things you need to be removing from your life or thoughts or beliefs or whatever, but like, let's let it be easy. Let's let it be small shifts. Let's let it be what ifs. Let's let it be curiosity, because I think that if you can stop looking at this massive picture, and I think that's like, honestly, the downfall in self-help and personal development is that there's so much fucking information. There's so much information. I got an email from somebody this morning who was like, I've got this, this, and this going on. I've got this, this, and this going on. I've gone to see this person, this person, this person, this person. And I'm just like, I think you're doing too much. I don't know if I should see you because I think you're doing too much. And I want you to trust yourself enough to stop looking everywhere outside of yourself for other people to tell you the solution to your problem. I swear to fucking everything, it's in you. I swear to everything that you can learn about things. Yes, learn about things all day so that your intuition has information to pull from and more information to pull from. But if you come back within, your intuition will tell you what's next. Your intuition will help you heal yourself. Your intuition will guide you to the next best thing. It's when we start looking so externally and we start learning too much, honestly. Like, I know that doesn't sound like the right thing to say as somebody who loves to learn, but I think there's this thing of, there's some people who I've met with who can explain exactly why they are the way they are, and they have all the knowledge, and they have, done all the things and read all the books and done the workshops and gone to the retreats, and something still isn't clicking. And it's because they don't trust themselves enough to actually utilize the information and to decipher intuitively what the next correct step or move for them is. They get temporary relief off the energy created by their experiences with other people, and then they're looking externally for the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of pisses me off, to be honest, because I just want people to be like, okay, I don't even want you to listen to me. I don't want my intuition to be more powerful than yours. I want you to take the information, see if it resonates. And if it doesn't, you throw it out the freaking window and you call it a day, and you come back and you say, okay, what's true for me? That's the healing. That's where it gets to be more powerful. That's where your power really lies. I'm getting concerned that people are looking so far outside of themselves for solutions and so far in their heads that nothing's happening other than knowing.
Oh,
sorry, that's a rant. That was
no, it's not. And I think it's, the irony that we're both self-help, again, in quotation, authors, but that's why we probably are, is because I know I can only speak for myself here. I read every single book in print and I didn't do shit with it because it gave me, and this is something I see at the gym, and I'm saying this cautiously and because I know it's going to ruffle a few feathers, but I've been at the gym for over a decade now. I can't tell you how many times people come in, sign up for the gym. I get an email 3 months later and they say, this isn't working. I'm not coming anymore because I haven't made any changes. And then I pull their attendance because sometimes I could be low-key bitchy like that. And I see that they haven't checked in since the first week they got their membership. But there is this phenomenon, which again, raising my hand, I've very much been a part of it. We think if we spend a little money and we do a little, we go through half of the motions, that the changes are going to happen. We've been sold that. How many programs out there that they're making these big promises? And so we've kind of convinced ourselves that as long as we make a financial investment, the work will be done for us. And it just doesn't work like that. And at some point we need to say, okay, is what I need here really more knowledge, or is what I need to take some action? And the answer can absolutely be both, right? Both can be true at the same time. That's why these books are available, and all of them are amazing. Well, not all of them, most will say are amazing in their own right, but they need to be compiled with action. I know I'm working my way through your latest book, and you have in there exercises and tables for us to work through because of that. Right? Because it's the action paired with the knowledge that makes change. And I think that's important to remember, because for me, that was a huge frustration, because I felt like one of those people. I was like, I have the knowledge. I know everything. I know what to do. I know the processes. Why am I not doing it? And it made me feel worse. The more I was learning, the worse I felt. And then it's like, oh, well, I feel worse because I'm not doing. So it's that nice reminder nice bullshit calling reminder, like you need to actually walk into the gym for it to work. And that applies everywhere.
Well, and just, speaking on Rock Your Comeback, my book that's coming out this summer, I have so many different activities throughout it because, and my editor was like, Nichole, you really should make this into a workbook and sell it separately. Like that's the marketing logical thing to do. And I'm like, I wouldn't do it. If I'm not going to do it, how do I expect other people to do it? I'm not going to go buy the workbook after I've already read the book. I'm not going to have those be two separate experiences for people, because if I'm in it and I'm reading it and I want to commit to it, I need to do it right then and now. And that's the cool thing about Rock Your Comeback is it will help you really look at what you're believing about things, what you're seeing, and how to shift your perspective in the process in subtle, small, beautiful ways. And like, again, that's our whole thing. But yeah, I mean, it really comes down to trusting yourself enough to know what information resonates for you and when to use it. And I think one of the gifts, and I know you preach on this, but I think one of the things that I've learned how to do better is that as somebody who has notoriously been an overthinker, I have to drop into my body and disconnect from everything in order to integrate what I know into the present moment. Otherwise, I am just living in my head. So if you're somebody who's like living in your head, you've assessed everything, you know all of the things about you and why you are the way you are, my challenge for you is to get back in your friggin' body, ground your energy, go for a walk, go for, a good workout, be in your physical body. And like for me, again, because I'm so in my head and I have a job where I sit at a desk all day and I write and I do sessions and whatever else, but like I have to be intentional about like moving my body around. Like I've actually been taking like a midday walk just because I need to get back in my body after I've been in my head all day. And it's taken me so long to find the importance of just getting back to like that basic physical movement throughout my day so that I'm not just sitting in my head, like spinning my wheels, because I think all day and I could keep going. And a lot of people do. And we're all in these like non-movement jobs where we're not in our physical bodies. We're just in our heads all day.
And then we go to bed and we wonder why we're feeling such anxiety. And it's not anxiety, it's energy that has not been spent, that has not been used. And so just, it can be little things. You don't need to go to the gym and deadlift your body weight. You can, like you said, take a 10-minute walk, clean your kitchen, do, things that are applicable that can help us tomorrow, but also just allow us to get back into our physical beings and turn off our minds, turn off our thinking minds. That repetitive motion for me is, I don't know who I would be if I didn't have the ability to just switch something off in my head and not have to worry about anything else except for the number of reps that I am doing.
Yeah, it's powerful just to find your way back to the basics. And we won't go into this too deep because we already like hammered out just perspective and how important that is and trusting yourself to be guided to the next right thing. But getting back to the basics, getting back into your body, making sure you're getting a good night's sleep, making sure that your nutrition is relatively, it doesn't have to be perfect, but let me tell you the difference between, fueling your mind and not fueling your mind. Doing those basic things so you are not trying to heal and trying to improve and trying to make choices on a low power battery. I just think that's the most vital thing. Like, honestly, Heather, when I eat pretty clean throughout the day, I need less sleep actually. Like I just have so much more energy. Like I think I slept for like maybe 5 or 6 hours last night. I had like some friends over. I had a really great time. And then I woke up this morning and I was like ready to go. And I was like, I did not sleep very long, but I feel fantastic. I still feel fantastic. So I got my connection, which I really needed, and ate clean all day yesterday. And I just felt like so good. And I forget how important all those basic things, the like getting a good night's sleep, just connecting with other people, just putting yourself in a state where you're like doing the things that is going to make your brain work better and your body work better. It changes everything. It changes your mood. It changes the way you walk through the world. It changes your like electromagnetic energy. Like it's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say it all the time. Like my primary focus when I'm working with women is their nutrition, right? And that's exactly why. Because when we are taking care of our bodies in a way that we feel good about, and that's really, something I want to always make clear, because my definition of healthy is going to be different than everybody else's definition of healthy. And so it's making sure that we feel good about how we are interacting with our bodies. It makes everything else in our life so much easier and so much better. And again, getting back to the whole let it be easy thing, like nobody's having a wonderful high vibing day when they're constipated and bloated and hungover. Like it's just not happening. But we tend to disassociate our physical beings and our mental beings and our spiritual beings when we know how integral and how connected they are. And again, if it's like, for me, that's the first place I go. Okay, well, am I in a shitty mood? Is my energy low? Am I feeling exceptionally bitchy today? How have I been treating my physical body in once I go look back at that, I can usually find the answers, but it also gives us the ability to, again, make a little small adjustment and then just continue on moving forward. And the more we pay attention to that, the more we figure out what our body needs and what our body demands to feel its best. And maintaining that baseline becomes so much easier.
When I feel my best, it's because I have high energy. Like that is, and so for me, like prioritizing anything that like promotes high energy for me is like my number one. For a long time, I never drank. I mean, you always see me with my friggin' water bottles. Like I'm like obnoxious with it. But for a long time, I probably was not drinking enough water. And just that has changed a ton for me. Or, you know, just, I don't know, the way I'm eating, or like even my daughter who's 15, she's started to realize like I don't remember what she was taking for lunch, but she like changed it out for something that's a lot healthier. And she said to me, she goes, man, I always thought I just hated after lunch class because I was just so groggy and tired. And she goes, it was just what I was eating, because I was eating this, this, and this, and now I'm eating this, this, and this. She's like, I actually really like that class. And I'm like, isn't that wild, Cam? Like, isn't that crazy that like food is impacting how you feel about what you're doing? And I'm not the expert on this, so I'm not going to, you know, preach anything other than what I personally know. And what I personally know is that more protein has saved my brain. Like I don't have ADD, but I do have ADD tendencies, which means sometimes I get really, really bad issues with focusing. Like can't ground my energy. I just can't focus. Protein saves my fucking life when it comes to focusing. And I remembered going to an ADD conference, this total tangent, but I remembered going to an ADD conference and he was talking about the importance of protein in the morning for making those, like basically those neural receptors double so that the information coming in can stick to something. And so I remember doing that. So I started just hammering out more protein throughout the day. I know that's like the trend right now. So I'm, you know, again, not going to preach on that, but like that for me changes everything. Little things like just what I'm eating, how much I'm eating of it, and making sure that I'm doing the things that help me feel energized and focused is a total game changer. So if you're having a hard time shifting your perspective and you just feel like all the stuff we talked about at the beginning is over your head, this is your sign to get back in your body, find your way back to any of those like one things. And you don't have to do it all at once. You can say, okay, tonight I'm going to get a really good night's sleep, or tonight I'm going to drink more water, and tomorrow I'm going to just get out a bigger water bottle and I'm just going to set my intention to drink it for the day. Just pick one small shift to help you get back to the basics, to help you change your perspective and to help this be easier for you. It's all works together, but we don't have to do it all at once.
And you can't do it all at once. You know, I think that's the important thing. Whenever I'm working with a woman, we set I don't want to say rule because it's not a rule, but it's also kind of a rule. We're never working on more than 3 things at one time, because once we start going into more than 3 things, especially in the beginning, obviously later on things change, but in the beginning, then we go into bullshit territory. And most of the things that we tend to work on in the beginning are, like you said, they're seemingly simple little shifts where when spoken out loud, it's like, well, that's not going to do anything, but holy shit, does drinking enough water do something? Does having enough fiber do something? And yes, it's common knowledge, but how many of us are doing it? Not many. And especially right now, I get a little frustrated with, again, the more traditional self-help space, because there's so much information out there where we're like self-diagnosing and we're hearing people say, I'm anxious, I am depressed, I have ADD. No, maybe you're drinking regularly, you're not sleeping regularly, you have a movement practice that is non-existent, and your fiber consumption is negative, right? And again, I say that with love because that was me. That was me. But now it's like we're going to medications instead of also looking at lifestyle factors. And medications are there and they're valid, and when they're needed, amazing. And it's so amazing that we have it. But we also want to ask ourselves, well, what am I doing right now? And what can I do to maybe feel differently? And I'm telling you, it's my experience that it's the simple shit that makes the biggest impact. And it's like the low hanging fruit. But for some reason, we want to go right to the top of the tree at first. It's like, no, let's look and see what's at eye level, because chances are that's going to do the job that we're asking everything else to do.
And like I said, I know this is kind of a switch in topic, but it's not.
No.
But it's not, you know, if we're talking about perspective and you can't get on the train or you have too much coming in, drop back into that physical place of what can I control in this very moment? Okay, I'm going to drink glass of water right now. And that's a promise to yourself. And when you keep a promise to yourself, you increase your confidence. And that's that small momentum we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. Like, that's how easy it can be, is drinking a glass of water, is making a little bit of a better choice for lunch, is any of those things are moving you in a positive direction, and it will add up tremendously. And even if the glass of water or the healthy lunch does nothing for you today, again, for me, that gives me energy. And for me, energy feels more like myself. And when I feel more like myself, I'm in alignment. And again, when I'm in alignment, I'm a magnet for my desires. So it's all relevant and it's all interconnected. And I'll tell you, if you're listening to this, take what resonates, take what calls to you. If the first part is like, oh yeah, let's play like the what if game. Let's see what else is possible for me. What's the light? What's it like on the other side? Or if you're just like, yeah, I need to move my body today and get back into my physical body. Whatever is calling to you in this crazy energy period of time, I hope you do one small thing for yourself today.
The smallest, and it still counts. Yeah.
Always counts. But I'm always grateful for these conversations. I think this podcast is going to reach a lot of people and help them feel more confident in taking this next couple weeks by the horn.
It's going to be over soon.
Where can people connect with you?
I'm easy to find. My website has all the links, and it's just heathermaio.com, MAIO, and Instagram and TikTok, Heather.Maio, again, MAIO on both.
Yay. Oh, well, thank you again. And keep an eye out for Heather and I's little comeback corner. We'll do this once a month, and make sure if you have any questions, you send them in for us, because we love answering your questions so we can make very specific content for all of you. And we're so grateful. You can catch me, Nichole Eaton, on NicholeEaton.com and NicholeEaton.xo on Instagram and TikTok.